Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. My name is Ashton Moran of Invenias by Bullhorn, and we're just giving a few more seconds to everybody to join the session. We have 100 registrants for the session today, so very excited to get the session going. So we'll just give another 57, 56, 55, 54 seconds to the remaining people to join, and we'll go ahead and get this party started. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today. I would say something about the weather to help pass the time, but I realize that we're all very geographically dispersed. But anyway, in New Jersey, it is a really cloudy day. All right, just giving another 20 seconds or so for people to join, and we'll go ahead and launch into our content. All right, so let's get started. Again, everyone, thank you all so much for joining. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are around the world. Really thankful that you were able to carve out time out of your busy days to attend this session about Invenias. So just a quick introduction about myself, and we'll go through formal introductions. My name is Ashton Moran. I'm the Director of Sales and Strategy for the Invenias product line within the larger Bullhorn organization. And we have these are interesting times that we're in. I've had the very privilege and opportunity to speak with a number of search firms during this time, and what's interesting is the change in dynamic that's happened with your client calls, with candidate calls in terms of the management of candidates, the management of clients, the management of your searches. As we've moved, as everybody has been forced to move to a remote working model. And so in the midst of all those conversations, one of the things that became really, really apparent to us is, let's go ahead and have the opportunity to speak with the retained executive search world, let them know some of the things that we are hearing, that we are finding. And of course, if it's been a while since you've all seen the demonstration of Invenias, or if this is the first time that you've seen Invenias as well, hopefully this will help add value as this may be a good opportunity to review what technology is powering your business, what opportunities lie ahead for you as well as we hopefully see light at the end of the tunnel with some of the quarantining that's happened really around all the globe. So we decided to put the theme of this session around sailing. We've got a couple of sailors on the call from the Invenias side, so we'll again be sure to introduce you to them all. So let's talk about this next adventure lying ahead for your business. So what are some of the things that we're going to cover today? I'll go through the agenda and then we'll again, go formally through some introductions here. But why are we having this conversation? That's something that we're going to touch on in just a moment. I'd like to address some state of the industry, key stats as well. We have a customer, Fred Executive Search, Hans Mantel and Nick Zeiler, who are business leaders there, are going to come on and tell us what they've been seeing and also how technology has really revolutionized what they're doing as a business. We'll talk about top 5 challenges that we're hearing. And interestingly, I think we're going to draw some comparisons between what we heard just 3 months ago and would really like to take a poll as to how you're feeling that reflects on today. And then we'll talk about also, what are some challenges that you're seeing in general that ultimately are obstacles for the business. So we'll talk about that in a moment, and then we'll go through a demonstration of Invenias as well. This session should be, from here on out, maybe about 43, 44 minutes to go. And I like to be exact. So sorry about that. And then we're going to talk about any questions that you may have. We'd be happy to address them then and there. So who are we? Again, my name is Ashton Moran. I'm the Director of Sales and Strategy for Invenias by Bullhorn. Just to give a brief background on that, Invenias was an organization that started up in 2007 as a result of a couple of search consultants who thought, why can't we find the right solution for our business, and decided to build Inside Outlook. So in 2013, they hired their first employee in the United States, which was myself. And I've been with the business ever since. So really, I'm excited to walk you through the content today. I'll be your MC, and I have a couple of others joining to help contribute to the conversation too. So Tobias Jensen, would you mind unmuting yourself and giving a brief hello?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you for the intro, Ashton. My name is Tobias Jensen. I am a solutions consultant for Invenias in the EMEA region. Been with the business for about 6 years now, and I'm really excited to take you through a high-level overview demonstration of Invenias today.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thanks, Toby. Samuel Ernst, who's the Senior Account Manager for the region, would you mind unmuting yourself, saying a brief hello? Samuel, got it. All right.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. My name is Samuel Ernst, and I'm the Invenias expert in the DACH region. And even early in my career, I focused on digital trends. So I was working as a journalist for digital production. I was working for Siemens in the online communication department. And I know how it feels to work in HR because I was responsible for finding hiring good employees from 100K and above from mid-size cap in Germany. And I know how hard it is to work on Excel sheets and with old, slow systems. One quick private fact about me, I'm from Freiburg. Freiburg is the California of Germany, and I love to sail.
Hence the sailing theme today. Wonderful. And there are a couple of people who aren't on this slide who I'd like to thank as well. Of course, Hans Mantel and Nick Zeiler of Fred Executive Search. Thank you so much for being here. And I would be remiss if I didn't share the names of the marketing people who made this possible as well. So thank you so much, Francesca Brammy, Matt Irwin, and Kirsten Forsberg for planning and making this all happen. It takes a lot of work, and you guys are so graceful at doing it. So thank you so much. So why Invenias, and what qualifies us to have the conversation that we're having today? So we are a product that's been specifically designed for retained executive search, and we try to think about 3 pillars when we're supporting an executive search business and just the executive search market in general. The product is built for search. It's customizable. It's built for you, and also because of all the investment that's gone into the product as a result of the acquisition by Bullhorn back in 2017, it's built for the future as well. So I want to not stick to this slide too much, but basically state that we are industry leaders and are incredibly fortunate that the market has seen us that way and is treating us with great grace and giving us a whole lot of information as to what's happening across the markets. And so again, just want to share some of that intel back with you all. But if you do have any questions on the product itself, would be happy to walk you through a further demonstration, especially as Tobias Jensen is going to walk you through a brief demo in just a few moments. We work with a number of customers and are having ongoing conversations with a number of industry leaders as well. As you can see here, there may be some logos there that you recognize. Again, these are incredibly talented retained executive search firms like yourselves, scattered all over the globe. And as I mentioned earlier, today we want to focus specifically on Fred Executive Search. So Sam, don't know if you want to come on and perhaps interview these 2 fantastic gentlemen.
Pleasure. So as Ashton just mentioned, we have worldwide over 1,400 clients relying on Invenias. And we've been also growing the DACH region rapidly. We have over 50 clients. One of our clients is a Fred Executive Search. I'm happy to welcome today Hans Mantel, Partner Digital for Fred Executive Search, and Nick Seiler, Senior Consultant for Fred Executive Search. Maybe Hans, let's start with you. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Hans, I wonder if you're on mute.
Let's maybe wait 1 second.
All right, so apologies
So
for the
now
technical
you should
difficulties.
hear me. It took a
Oh,
while.
fantastic.
Ah,
Yes.
perfect.
So sorry for the delay. This is Hans of Fred Executive Search in Frankfurt. Hello. So
Hans.
you want me to speak a little bit about ourselves, about Fred? Yeah, maybe in a nutshell. Fred Executive Search, based in Frankfurt, is
Yeah.
focused mainly on finance, real estate, and digital. I'm the founding partner, focusing on digital and technology. And Fred, we have now two and a half years running, and 15 people here in Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Hans, you can. We have over 100 participants, peers from the executive search industry, also from HR, and maybe you can enlighten us when you're thinking back before you were working on Invenias. What were like main struggles you had working with your old system?
Yeah, that was an interesting setup. We used a standardized out-of-the-box product and did a lot of customization, which was from a technical perspective quite a challenge. We did a lot of .NET programming, having org charts and stuff like this. But at the end, this system was quite limited. We hadn't had the chance of cloud working or mobile working and web access on all these features that are really important to us. So yeah, then we decided to do this migration to Invenias, which was actually at the company before when I was partner at Indigo Headhunters. So we are probably one of the dinosaurs around using Invenias now since 2014. And so we have seen a couple of versions and upgrades, and so we have quite a stack of experience in the system. Yeah.
As you know, I'm a sailor, and every time we go on a sail cruise, we know where the harbor is or the bay we try to approach. But on the way, there is wind, the wind changes, or the weather, or something happens to the ship. And we want an honest question here, because you had an implementation to Invenias. How was the implementation? How was your experience from going from an older system to Invenias?
Well, if to put it in the words of sailing, I guess we had a good skipper, which was Invenias and the engineering team. We did really a very deep migration, so we had to map all the fields and huge sheets to get along, and of course got rid of a lot of stuff we didn't really need anymore. This was a very intensive process. It took us a couple of weeks. We had very close interactions with the engineering team and the product owners at Invenias, which was really a tough task, but everybody did a great job, I have to admit. And of course, it takes some time until you get going with the new system. But ever since we settled this, it was really running smoothly. And but I have to be honest, we wanted all those detailed data mapped into the new database, and therefore it took really a while, to get all this done, testing it, and so on. And because of the functionality and the cross-linking in the fields, it's quite a heavy task. But with Invenias, it just worked out. I mean, it was intense, as I said, but the result speaks for itself. And ever since we're still a valid customer of Invenias, that means that we are still happy.
Thank you for that. And if you're also looking maybe over to your colleague Nick, you and Hans, you've been working now for a long time with Invenias. you work with this product on your daily basis. Maybe you can highlight 1 or 2 features you really love about Invenias.
Maybe that's a question for me, and thanks. First of all, I want to say hello to the community. It's Nick. It's a pleasure to speak here. And yeah, essentially Invenias helped us to simplify processes such as data entries or categorization, and of course parsing from Xing or LinkedIn or PDF profiles or CVs. That makes the work much easier. As I'm from the research and I have a lot of data entries in the past, it helps me a lot to convert the data from the internet or the web to Invenias, and therefore is also what is really good that I can now search for these output or input which is given in the system. This wasn't possible at the system before, so it's also nice that Invenias as a specialist in executive search and as a recruitment specialist is for us the better understanding. You can see it in the whole system, such as fields like compensation and things like that, which we've never had before. And as well, one point is the status report functionality. In the past, I can say this, that the assistants maybe can send out a maximum of 2 lists a day, and now we have a significant higher output with that, because you can edit it from more persons at the same time, and as well the sending out. This is a great tool, and the customers love it. That's the base on our work.
Nick, maybe one last question to you. Thank you for sharing that. Now everyone, not only in Germany but worldwide, is working from home. How do you do that with Invenias?
Yeah, this is also quite a good system, because it was a point before that we are not having a cloud-based system, and now you have your database always with me. If in doubt, I'm using the Invenias app, which is also great as well. For you can make notes. You can also take the audio and take notes within this, and you have all the numbers always with you without synchronizing, and as well the web based login is also things that we can do, and we have way before many problems to install every system, and there happens such many problems which I deal with, and so it's way more easier. So we have had an issue in 2 days before with a new Outlook update, and what I tell the other people, you can use the web access, and so you have access if it's not working on the desktop at the moment.
Nick, thank you very much for sharing that information with us. Also, Hans, thank you very much. We're very happy that we can call you our clients here in the DACH region, and you're part of the Bullhorn Invenias Executive Search family. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
A pleasure.
Now we would love to share with you some global insights and key stats from our industry. So every year Bullhorn is doing a CRIT, and CRIT stands for Global Recruitment Insights and Data. So this year we were asking foreign executive search professionals and leaders, what are your top priorities? And yes, you can see relationship is the most important priority. Relationships with your candidates and clients, they are dominating the top priorities, each 39%. Which is also important is digital transformation. This is especially high priority for executive search firms like you are. Same applies for employer branding with 25%, as well as expanding into 2 markets with 24%. Those numbers here you can see on the slide, those rely from our polls we did in December, January. So of course we want to know what has changed now. We want to love to hear your insights. On this call, on this webinar today, we have over 100 leaders and professionals from executive search and HR joining us. So we have participants from the Americas, so from Canada, Mexico, the United States, from EMEA, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Israel, the Netherlands, Norway, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and even from Australia. So let us please do a short poll. On your screen, there should come up now a poll, and you can decide what is your top priority in 2020. So let's wait and give a few seconds to make up your mind and do your decision. Okay, thank you, everyone. Here we go, Ashton. Very interesting, those results. What do you think?
Yeah, it is really interesting. In particular, the employer branding and expanding into new markets. What I think is before, as you were able to tell, just to see how this aligns, right? We were talking, 25% employer branding, 24% expanding into new markets, but we understand and appreciate that, what you're trying to do now is essentially, sustain the customers that you have today. If there is an opportunity in a new market, yeah, we totally hear it. But I love the fact that relationship trumps everything, right? In exec search, and that's I've been with executive search, serving the executive search industry for 13 years now, and that's just a constant that will never ever change, and that is pretty heartening, and I love seeing that kind of stat. So I like to continue with some of the challenges actually to get to those business objectives and priorities that you all have, and perhaps we can talk specifically about those challenges. I don't know if I can be made presenter again. Fantastic. Sammy, can you see my screen again? I imagine
Correct.
yes. Perfect,
Yes.
perfect. So I think that, as I mentioned before, relationships trumps everything, and obviously technology to undergird that is incredibly important. And one of the things that we have been hearing is that, yeah, even though we may have some shifting business priorities, there are some challenges in the executive search business to actually drive those priorities and that agenda and those strategic initiatives forward. And amongst them, user adoption of whatever technology you happen to be utilizing. If you don't have user adoption, information starts to get scattered across islands, right? It's in Outlook, it's in folders, it's in Word documents, it's in Excel spreadsheets, it's in other systems, it's in consultants' heads. It starts to become very cumbersome to try to unite all that information in one. And of course, not having the information, one single source of truth, leads to hours of administrivia with creating reports, whether it's a status report that you're trying to send out to a client, or it happens to be a report just to understand the performance of your business, right? Sometimes getting all that information in one place requires you to have 8 arms, and it's just not very feasible and very possible at times to get all that. Of course, you kind of wrapped it all up with just an overall changing landscape of the customer's expectations, especially around the digital surge that's taken place in these last few years. For example, I remember when I first came into the executive search role in 2006, and LinkedIn was just recently popping up. I remember hearing some executive search firms that said, I will never, ever source anybody from LinkedIn because that's not where the executives will go. And that was just 14, 13 years ago. So things change, and client expectations change, and yes, relationship trumps all, but how do we continue adding value to the relationships that we have with customers, and also, as these expectations increase, how mobile are we as a business? I think this has put the ultimate stress test on any organization, but in particular for executive search that's been so reliant on having face-to-face meetings with candidates, face-to-face meetings with clients as well. And I think that mobility is just such a strong, important factor to any business. get that right, and we can start to drive some of those strategic initiatives. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to my colleague Tobias, who will actually show you a brief demonstration of Invenias and talk to you about, how we tie in everything that we've talked about, from business priorities to business challenges, and how we can look at technology to help resolve some of those issues. So Tobias, over to you.
Thank you, Ashton. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to share my screen here in a second. Francesca, can we switch the attendee to? There we go. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen here in a second. There we go. Hopefully we can all see my screen now.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, apologies for the little wait there. So yes, I'm going to take you through a demonstration of Invenias and where we can kind of plug those gaps a little bit. And as you can notice, I'm in Outlook, and as we mentioned very early on, built on Microsoft, so we always lived in Outlook. And one of the big challenges that people face is the user adoption. So the fact that we live in Outlook, anytime you open it, Invenias is there, that's going to help with the user adoption. And I want to draw your attention to this critical pane on the right-hand side. So what we will do with Invenias is we'll serve up information from the CRM into your Outlook. So you don't have to jump between your mail and your CRM to find mission critical information. So we can see that we have an email here from Sam Miselli. He's the Vice President of Global Tech Co. And we serve up critical pieces like his phone number, should we need to make a phone call, email addresses, and whatnot. We can also see things like data privacy, statuses, as well as when we had the last meeting with Sam, when he was last contacted. We could also see when he was an active candidate in an assignment, and these are just click through to the actual records themselves. We can see where Sam was a client. So today's candidate is going to become tomorrow's client. So having that one person with a consolidated view is really critical to the adoption as well. We'll also be able to see any programs we have associated Sam with the program is your business development, talent pooling, or market mapping. And you can see that this pane just simply switches as I jump from one email to another. So you always have that information that you need at your fingertips at all time. I'm in the web version of Outlook. Nick mentioned earlier on, it's great to have access if you're using it on the web. If you are a big fan of the desktop version, you can see that it lives in there as well. You can't get away from us. We'll be right there to help you out through the day. If you need to take action, data entry is one of those pieces that we talked about. That should be simple. So that can be done from here should you have a phone call with Sam, or you need to log any kind of note regarding a meeting that you have had with Sam Miselli here. I mentioned everything is click through. So from here, we can get straight into Sam Miselli's record. So I'm going to jump into it to Invenias in the browser. It is browser agnostic, so you can choose what you want. I'm in Chrome here, and we can see Sam Miselli's profile. And whenever I go into a record, I am greeted by a dashboard. So a high level overview of information that I need. Again, the last contact, the last meeting, but we do have deeper level of information here as well, such as the activity feed. So any conversation people have had within the business with Sam has been added to an assignment, have we given them feedback, and so forth. It's going to be in this activity feed that we have here on the right-hand side. And to the right of that, we have the full profile of Sam Miselli. So everything you need about this person is going to be in that profile pane. So we can see a biography, again, contact details. Nick was talking about the ability to categorize and code up people with relevant industry that they work in or regional focus. We can display that. That's something that can be leveraged very easily when it comes to searching Invenias for your top talent. We can also see the experience of current positions, but also previous positions and remuneration packages, and even down to the level of education where the person went to school. One thing that is unique about Invenias is the ability to score and assess people in a very unique way. And we can also collaborate with our clients to allow them to score the candidates that we do send through the door. So we have that concept called scoring, and this is your custom assessment criteria that you can set up for a individual or for an assignment. I will share how that looks like in an actual assignment here in a bit, but you can see here that we have a couple of people internally and externally score Sami-Seli based on communication, industry knowledge, recommendation, and so forth. And it's very simple to just add a new score. So these kind of feedbacks and scores don't end up on a piece of paper or in somebody's head or in an Excel spreadsheet. It ends up in Invenias, and therefore we can draw some benefits out of that when we work through our search assignments. To navigate through the platform and get to the various places of the product, you have the quick search at the very top. So from here, we can just type in what we need essentially to find a person. So we can type in a name of a company to get straight to that record. But what I think is most important for the user adoption is the menu on the left-hand side here. We can see that we have access to the list of people, companies, assignments, and programs straight from here. It's always going to be with me. I don't have to open it up over and over again. The most recent visited people, companies, and assignments are just one click away at all times. If you're in a position where you just work with a few clients, a few candidates, and a few companies, you can favoritize them so that we collapse that list to make it more user-friendly. So from here now you have access to just your very favorite list of records. And if we jump into a search assignment, I just want to show you that once you learn how to navigate one record, you know how to navigate them all. So it looks very much the same regardless of where you go. You're greeted with a dashboard now. These dashboard stats are obviously more tailored towards a search assignment. So we can see how long it's been open, when the last activity was, how many interviews been held, and candidates by progress status, as well as an activity feed on the right-hand side. Everything that's been done in regards to this search, candidates added, phone calls being had with people in relation to the search is all in this activity feed on the right-hand side. If we talk about that scoring again, when you do set up a search, you naturally have a brief, that's very common, but then you have the ability to then have a custom scoring criteria specifically for this search. So if you operate across different industries and different markets, different geographies, you have the ability to have a set scoring criteria for that particular search. So when your consultants add people to this search, when they assess them, they have a very unique, specific criteria that they do evaluate the candidates based upon. And then lastly, we have the candidates section that I want to call upon. This is where all the candidates that you put in a search go, and they are going to be broken down by status. So first of all, you probably start to target candidates, and what you do next is that you probably move them into discussion, you attempt contact and whatnot. So this is going to be broken down by exactly where they are within that search, and these are priority to yourself. So we're not going to force on these particular these statuses. So if you operate in a certain way, as Ashton mentioned earlier, it's very configurable. So the progress statuses that you want is something that you will have as well. Whenever you want to review a person here, we don't have to jump in and open up records left and right. So we have gazillion tabs across the top, we can simply just click on the row itself to pull up that profile that I was talking about when we looked at Sam's record. So we can see the profile of the person containing all that level of detail that you need to see when you work your way through the search. You can also see the scoring and the feedback is all available to you there. So no jumping in between records and tabs and so forth. One thing that we did touch on was the way you work with your clients today. I know that a lot of people probably produce a progress report or a profile report that you share as a PDF. I'm going to show that in a second, but I want to touch upon our client portal because we see more and more of our customers moving towards that and incorporating it. And what that allows you to do is interact with your clients in a digital portal. We're going to take a look at what that looks like, but before we do so, I want to call out that you choose exactly what level of detail you want to share with your clients. So you don't have to share the entire list of candidates. You pick and choose exactly which of the candidates you want to share. Do you want to share target companies and whatnot? Once you decide on all those factors, you can share that with your clients and they can log into an online portal to actually access that information. So this is what your clients would see. So let's start with a dashboard. They'll see the candidates by progress status that you shared with them, as well as what company these people work for. So kind of a high level overview in a nice ring chart. I shared the details of this search with the clients so we can see the brief, but also the assessment criteria we agreed upon with our client. And now to the yummy bits, the actual candidates, okay? So your clients will be able to see the candidates that you have put forth, and they'll be able to navigate through them really easily, but also then again, give that scoring. So now you're interacting with your clients about your candidates. So they can give the score and they can give the feedback straight from within this portal. Just to touch on a couple of other tabs that we have in here, you can share the target companies that you're doing research into for your client, as well as any previous interviews or upcoming interviews. And lastly, that's a nice little touch. You can share with your client what team do you have on your side and what team is the client representing with. But if we have a quick look at the actual progress report from a PDF format, because I know a lot of people are still going to want that. So that's one thing that I want to go ahead and pull up for you and run. So if we jump into one, the first thing that you need to do is, first of all, just put in the assignment that you're working on. Now, because it's so easy to add the data points in, fit to profile notes, interview notes and whatnot, you can now pull all that information together into a report. Nick mentioned earlier on that one of the things that they struggled with was to produce these reports no more than 2 per day, because the information would be spread across different systems, or they couldn't pull information from the system into a report. So as the system is easy to use, the data is easy to get in, now you're going to draw the benefits from it. So once you plug in what actual assignment you want to go ahead and produce the report for, you're going to get a number of options to choose from when it comes to the output of the report. So do you want to show the dashboard, an assignment brief, target candidates, shortlist assessment, so the scoring criteria, again, we can start to share that. But you can also start to hide things. So and these days and age, we know that people want to take out pictures, they want to anonymize the report from various perspectives. So you can do all of that before you produce it, but once you're happy with your choices, you simply hit run for the report to get it plugged in and going. This takes about 20 seconds. Now, I've heard anywhere between a couple of hours, half a day to even a day and 2 days to produce a really thorough search report. So 20 seconds is not very long if you think about it. And once it's done, we have this report ready to send across to clients. So we have a nice tailored branding based on your branding. In this case, my branding, as a Martin Search. We pull in the job title, we pull in who this is produced for, the dates, obviously, and that kind of information. And then we can start to look through the actual report itself. So Start with a high-level summary, companies targeted, total candidates in the search, and then broken down by status and companies, and produce in a nice graphical way that's easy to comprehend. Again, the brief is something that I touched on. That's something you can include if you want to. We're also going to go ahead and show our shortlisted, our target companies for this search. So we're going to produce a list of that. A lot of people pay a lot of money to see that you're actually researching a lot of companies. So we're going to share that with our clients. And then the assessment is remind our client that this is what we agreed upon. And finally, have a look at the candidates and how they performed against each other, basically. And it's quite easy to see here. It's all green for Thomas Meyer. So he is the most successful candidate in this case. And let's dive into the yummy bits again. The full rich profiles of each person. So we can see packages sought, we can see employment history, and also progress notes, fit the profile and headline. So all this information that you normally pull from a different couple of places, with the one click, you can get them into one report formatted nice and easily. And if I scroll through my top 3 shortlisted candidates, we then produce a more condensed version of the long listed candidates and the rejected candidates, where it's just a name, an employment, and progress notes, pretty much. So that's the content of that report. That's your client-facing stuff. Let's switch gear. Running a business, what do you need to know about your business? Well, most often it's down to profitability. What's the pipeline looking like? So I want to touch upon one report that we have for internal use that you would run internally to see what's going on in the business. So let me jump in and show you our analytics. So this is an example of how you can drive your business and start to look to see where the money is coming from and what does the pipeline look like. It's divided up by different cards. I can interrogate these cards and expand them and make them bigger. So if I want to look at, for instance, my list of assignments that our business are working on and what the weighting is and the values, I can expand it and make it bigger and interrogate that data. I can start to look and see where my revenue is coming from. So what sectors are we having enough coverage on certain sectors that we are focusing on? So we break that down as well, and we can see a leaderboard of our people internally, and we can start to actually plug and play with that data to actually look at that ourselves. Last thing I wanted to cover is the mobile piece. I'm going to drag across my mobile because I know we're running short on time, so hopefully no Snapchat messages coming through. And there we are. So this is me accessing Invenias on my phone. So if you have an iPhone, Android phone, you can download this app for free. If you have a tablet, iPad, same thing goes there. Just download the app and you're ready to rock and roll. You can do pretty much everything besides the client-facing report, but you have access to all the people, all the companies, all the assignments, and the programs at your fingertips. And again, I'm going to refer back to what Nick said. One of the beautiful things is that you can always access this on the go. So if I'm out and about, I'm running late, I can look up Thomas Meyer's profile, give him a quick phone call. I can see where he's located. I can start sending him an email just by tapping onto these hyperlinks here. I could also look at his resume, any documents we have on hand. I can produce those scorings on the go. So if I just met with him and I want to evaluate him based on those scoring assessments, I can do so. But one of the key pieces of knowledge here is I have a meeting with Thomas and I need to get that information into the system. That's knowledge people need. It shouldn't stay in my head. It shouldn't stay in a piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is with my phone, add a note in. And just like Nick said there previously, you can actually talk that note in. So I had a great meeting with Thomas and we will schedule another interview next week. And that's how information makes it into the system. That's how you stay on top of your search, stay on top of your relationships. And with Invenias, hopefully you've been able to see today how some of these features can address those gaps and those challenges that Ashton introduced. I know we're right on the dot, but I'm going to pull up this one here, which is our questions and answers piece. And that kind of concludes my demonstration of Invenias. Happy to share more in a deeper demonstration. So we'd love to hear from you. But thank you, Ashton.
Fantastic, Toby. What a great presentation. Thank you so much. I've got a couple of questions, and everybody, please feel free to use the chat box to send across questions. I see that there's a question today. Toby, perhaps you can answer this. We've got a comment here. Hello, that's a great tool. The data is kept in our internal servers or at Invenias servers?
So it would be Invenias servers. So we utilize Azure as the data centers, but obviously we're just the processor of the data. So you always own the data, and you will always get copies of your data and get the data back should you want to leave. But to answer that question, it would be on our servers.
Perfect. Thank you. Wonderful. We'll give a moment there to see if there are any other questions that come in. But as we wrap it up on that section, we thank everybody for, again, taking the time to join this session. Hopefully, it's been helpful just to give some reassurances about what's happening across other businesses, what priorities happen to be, and some of the challenges that they're hearing to make some of these things happen. Hopefully, it's also been some good insight into what we've been up to here in Invenias land within Bullhorn in terms of developing new product and pushing the envelope with innovation. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to send your comments, your questions, your demo requests, and everything to marketing@bullhorn.com, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you. So if I'd see a couple of other questions here, just bear with me. Okay, 1 second. How easy is it to transfer from Access Microdeck profile to Invenias? So perhaps I can answer that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go through a full data migration process where we have a conversation with your folks, receive a copy of the database, make sure that we understand what the technical backend looks like, and we essentially, as Hans actually mentioned earlier, we do go through a process of mapping the information that's in your database to Invenias, and you're engaged in that process, and we guarantee that you'll be happy with the results. We provide feedback, commentary, and we ensure that the work that we're delivering is to your satisfaction. So we've done a number of microdeck migrations in the past, and of course, would be happy to speak about your specific requirements whenever you'd like to have that conversation. Perfect. I had got one last question here, and I thank everybody for their time as we're going just a bit over. One last question: does this work with Office 365? Yeah, does this work with Office 365?
Yeah, that's a great question. I should have called it out. I was initially in my Office 365. We do have a little bit of a branding on it with the Aston Martin colors. But to answer that question, yes, it does. It does work with Office 365.
All right, fantastic. So there are a couple of other questions. We'll be sure to answer them and address them offline. Francesca, do we have the names of the individuals who have asked the questions? Fantastic. I see Francesca has just sent me a note that we'll be sure to get back to you all via email. So thank you so much. Marketing@bullhorn.com, and we'd be happy to engage further with you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and continue to use Zoom for staying in touch with your clients, candidates, family members, friends, and everything. All right. Farewell, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.